Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Casey, and welcome to today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back, our weekly over-the-top cage match of a talk show about all things pop culture. And thank you so much for joining us. On today's show, the New Mutants movie. I know, it's real, I promise. After several delays and push release dates, it looks like this beleaguered mutant movie might finally be coming out. Or is it? Then our intrepid investigator, Rosie Knight, may have uncovered a clue as to what Matt Reeves' The Batman might be about. We're going to break it down. Plus, Netflix is finally pulling back the curtain to reveal some of its biggest films. Also, who would win in a fight between Batman and Captain America? Trivia. That's right, it's the Sentinel of Liberty versus the Dark Knight in today's trivia battle. All of this and more on today's Nerdist News Talks Back. Now, of course, I can't do this all on my own. It would be exhausting. So let's meet our panel. Joining us today, she hosts the podcast Desi Geek Girls and Strong Female Characters for Sci-Fi, and she's the author of Orientation, Marvel Avengers Assembly, and Star Wars The Clone Wars Anthology coming out next month. Please welcome Preeti Chibber.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited.
We're going to get into it in just a minute. But first, next, she's known as Ms. Movie Phone, and she's a prolific film critic and interviewer extraordinaire for outlets like CNN, Rotten Tomatoes, ABC, and Fandango. It's Gray Drake.
Dan, how you doing?
I am better now that you're here, Gray. I'm so happy to have you on the show.
Man, it's awesome to be here. And things are already heating up here in our apartment. I can tell this is going to be awesome.
Climate change, not caused by this show. No one can prove it. Now, last but not least, she's known as the Blurred Girl. She hosts the Blurred Girl Live on Twitch, and she's a contributing editor for Sci-Fi Wire. Please welcome Kara Mahorn.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm also very happy that my air conditioning is working.
Bless. Honestly, if it wasn't, I would just be like a human, like a melting candle, like Alex Mack just post barrel explosion. All right, let's get this show on the road, folks. It's time for our weekly segment that we like to call, Should You Still Be Wearing a Mask in Public This Week? The answer is still yes, absolutely. Spoiler alert, next week's answer is also going to be yes. It's going to be yes for a minimum of, 4 to 8 weeks, depending on what the CDC says. Listen to science. Anyway, moving on. All right, folks, we've been waiting with bated breath for Christopher Nolan's highly anticipated film Tenet to come out in theaters. First, it was mid-July, then it was late July, then mid-August, and now it's looking like we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see Christopher Nolan's latest, because Tenet has been removed from the 2020 movie calendar with no word on when the new release date could be. Is this an elaborate mystery? Is it an alternate reality game? Who knows? The action-packed, time-bending thriller joins an ever-growing list of 2020 movies that are being delayed indefinitely until the pandemic ends and it's safe for us to once more spend $20 on Twizzlers at the theaters once more. Films like Black Widow, Wonder Woman 1984, Candyman, F9, Mulan, and so many more being pushed and pushed with no guarantee of how or when they're going to be released. So, with that said, which delayed movie are you most excited to see when this eventual backlog of amazing movies finally gets released? Preeti, let's start with you.
Oh my gosh, The Green Knight. All I want is to watch The Green Knight. May was supposed to be the month of Dev Patel. We were going to get The Green Knight and David Copperfield, and we didn't get it. And it was Asian American month. Like, I know he's not American, but it counts. We have so few. Let us have this. I just want it so badly.
Right? And like A24 has just been crushing it. And like, I want to see that movie specifically. They also released a tabletop role-playing game tie-in for The Green Knight. Should tide us over a little bit, but I just want to see Dev Patel, like, I want to see him kick some medieval butt and like spook myself in the process. Karama, what about you?
I wanted to see Candyman. I mean, I don't need an excuse to look at Yaya at any point. I really don't. But I mean, it was, Nia DaCosta, and then there's a legacy behind the Candyman, movie and mini franchise, I guess you could call it. But I really, really, really wanted to see what she was going to do with it. So it's kind of a toss up between that and Tenet. But I knew Nolan was not going to let us watch it at home. I knew it. He's selfish.
God, it has to be so sad right now. But I have to say, I'm so disappointed that we're not going to continue playing the game of just pushing it 2 more weeks. Like, I was having so much fun.
It's truly like the amount of just web traffic that Christopher Nolan gave to the world was just such a gift where you could just copy paste every 2 weeks, moved back to this date, to this date. But I guess that we'll just have to watch it the way it was meant to be seen on a tiny iPhone screen.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna watch it on my phone out of spite at this
Yes.
point.
But Gray, what about you? What movie are you looking forward to most?
Actually, I'm a huge Candyman fan, so that was on my list too,
yay.
because that movie, the Virginia Madsen, like the original one, it is now so problematic, because even when we were watching it, it's like, hold on, this doesn't make sense. And they fixed it. So it's like Jordan Peele producing and Nia DaCosta. I was just so excited because she's posted stuff on Instagram, and it looks like truly a visionary experience, and I was so pumped. But outside of the horror world, I'm really excited for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And now I don't think we're going to get to see her this whole year.
We're not going to see Chris Pine in a fanny pack. We're going to miss that.
Oh,
So
no.
rude. As if 2020 wasn't bad enough.
I know. We've suffered so much at this point. God.
I will say, if you spend enough time in the Silver Lake neighborhood of Los Angeles, there is a non-zero chance you will see Chris Pine in a fanny pack. Source, I've seen him so many times in that neighborhood.
Are you serious?
Yes. He's the celebrity I've seen the most just out and about in the wild.
Well, he did give us that gift outside of the bookstore. So it was Chris Pine plus a giant bag of books. I was like,
that's a couple blocks away from me. I could have gone to watch in person had I known. But yeah, as for myself, I think the one I was most excited for that's gonna get pushed is probably, it's already been pushed. It's Eternals. Because as much as I'm excited to see, like the Green Knight and all that, I want to see how they're going to take what's arguably the biggest film franchise on the planet and move it forward with some of the most like absolutely bonkers Jack Kirby nonsense possible. And that cast is so freaking good that I just want to see them I just want them to get paid and keep making cool stuff. Just like, okay, do this movie, then do all the indies you want to do on the side because you don't have to worry about a paycheck. Oh, man. But my next question, though, is about movies like Artemis Fowl, which decided to forego the theater-going experience and launch directly on a streaming service like Disney+. And we've seen other things do that on premium VOD, like Trolls World Tour dominated at the box office that weekend because they released when kids were trapped at home with their parents. But do you think that more films should take that route, or should they just hold on tight and wait for the theater-going experience to return? Gray?
I'm sorry, I just fell asleep when you said the words Artemis Fowl, because it just was so not worth waiting for such an old property. I am not surprised that they are releasing to VOD all of these family choices, because families are the people that benefit the most from the $20 ticket price, because there's generally more than 2 people in their household, and they would be paying the most in a theater. So I have a feeling that that's all that we're going to see for the rest of 2020. Studios are going to figure out which are their most family friendly titles, and then they're just going to make them essentially sacrificial.
Well, that said, do you think that they're going to eventually just relent and put out Tenet in Fortnite in its entirety?
I think they should.
They should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, the ultimate microtransaction, paying $100 to watch a Christopher Nolan movie inside of a free-to-play game.
And they're only going to be able to do it if someone goes to Christopher Nolan's house, refuses to social distance, and ties him up. Because I think that he's going to be so upset.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever truly happy, and that's why he keeps making movies.
Are there any images? Does anybody have a picture of him smiling? I have never seen this man smile.
No, they're all photoshopped. If you look closely, you can see where they took the corner of his mouth and just flipped them upside down.
Like, no one has witnessed this. Exactly.
Yeah. The happy Christopher Nolan is on the other side of a black hole somewhere. All right, let's move on. Our next topic isn't just about a delayed movie, but the delayed movie, one that seems to be trying to set a world record for the most release dates ever in a short amount of time. I'm talking about New Mutants. Now, look, the New Mutants might not have come out in 2018 when it was originally supposed to. It also may not have come out in 2019 like it was its backup plan. It also missed its April 2020 backup plan. And yes, look, it seems likely it's going to miss its August backup plan. But we are getting new information about New Mutants this week on Thursday's Comic-Con at Home panel. So my first question is, do you think we're going to get anything shocking from this upcoming New Mutants panel? Preeti, let's start with you.
Know about shocking. New Mutants, I know I said the Green Knight earlier, but I don't like to be scared. Like I am not a big horror fan. I saw The Ring when I was 18 and I slept with the lights on for like a month. Like I am not a person who enjoys spooky movies, but the New Mutants, I think I don't know. I think it could be really fun. I don't know what kind of shocking thing they could give us at this point. Like what it could feasibly be other than like, surprise, we're going to show you the movie right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I feel like the only real shock they could pull, and even that kind of feels like everyone's expecting it now, is a surprise release of the film on Disney Plus, like Netflix did with the Cloverfield Paradox at the Super Bowl in 2018. So do you think that's a feasible move, or is that something you think they're just going to put it on like premium VOD and not necessarily a Disney Plus play?
I don't know if it feels Disney Plus. They just did Hamilton, and Hamilton was like such a big deal. I feel like New Mutants wouldn't be able to stand up next to that level of excitement, honestly. Like, weren't subscriptions up like 750% or something like absurd like that? So I wouldn't be surprised by a VOD announcement, honestly.
What if they replaced the Demon Bear with Aaron Burr? Would that make a difference?
I would pay for it immediately.
Fantastic. Great. What about you? Do you think we're going to get any like startling information, or what do you think is the future of New Mutants? Because it's been delayed so many times. I just want to see this movie already.
Oh, it's been delayed so many times. They can no longer call it New Mutants. It has to be old ass mutants. No question.
Old man mutants.
Exactly.
Going through puberty.
Right. The only shocking thing that will happen, I think, in regards to the title is that it actually happens at this point. That's all that it's going to be. I actually don't see this as being a movie that they could put on Disney Plus only because they had to have lost so much money on it already that they're going to have to recoup that somehow. And this is a problem that all of the studios have. But having said that, I like the cast so much that I'm really excited to see the panel because I like watching them talk and I like to feel like this movie is actually going to happen.
Yeah, and like every like new headline I read or every like sad Twitter post from Bill Sienkiewicz, I'm like, please just put this out. I need to see it already. I don't want to hear that Josh Boone has sequels planned. I want to see the first movie. But once New Mutants finally does come out, that will effectively close the book on the Fox tenure of Marvel's X-Men characters. Now, obviously, I don't think a character like Deadpool is going anywhere, but where do you think that Kevin Feige and company are going to take the X-Men and the Merry Mutants from here? Karma, let's start with you.
Oh, goodness. I'm not sure. Because he's been so tight-lipped about it. And just to jump back real quick for the Disney Plus question, I don't think they legally can put on Disney Plus because there was all those contracts that happened. All those contract changes happened while they were delaying. So I think the only place it could show up is maybe HBO Max because Sony.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I do think that moving forward, I think what we're going to see is maybe eventually an actual X-Men movie because I don't think I've seen one yet. I think Kevin Feige is going to actually make a real honest to goodness X-Men movie. And I think he's going to have the kids in school and actually not start all over again, but actually start with one of their stories, kind of like in a Logan sort of way. Because if you notice, there's a lot of that genre mixing, that Logan, Joker, they're even kind of doing that with New Mutants. I think we're going to have a student and he's going to grow everything from there, just like they took Iron Man and they grew everything from there. So somebody's going to get an origin story. I'm not sure who. But if I don't see a Storm movie in the next 5 years, or I'm sorry, in the next phase of the next phase, I'm going to flip a table or a building or something because I'm
We've got
tired.
Janelle Monáe publicly lobbying to play Storm. She's spoken with Ryan Coogler, Black Panther 2. Perfect segue. They bring in those characters, do Doom War. I want to see it. I think she'd be a perfect Storm.
I see what you did there.
Very nicely done.
Thank you. All right, folks, that's the show. Gotta go. But the thing that I do like is there are so many different ways that they could introduce these characters, and that for me is part of the fun right now. Is that sort of, when they lay out like, oh, here's what phase 4 is going to look like. That's cool because all these things that are coming down the pipeline, but it kind of eliminates some of the mystery of like, well, how is this going to happen? And right now it feels like one of those fun question marks that you can speculate about, like, is it going to be Scarlet Witch? Is it going to be like Doctor Strange, like combining a multiverse and like making a prime universe? Is it going to be like the Eternals reveal, oh, there were mutants all along. They created them, but we didn't activate their genes yet. Forgot to flip this switch. There's so many possibilities. And it's just nice to feel like we don't know everything that's coming down the pipeline again. So
honestly, if they're smart, they will just take Hickman's House of X, Powers of X, and just do that. Because that was ridiculous. It rebooted the entire universe. He doesn't have to worry about what came before.
I wonder how much they're going to use Disney Plus in this scenario, though, because there's so much content coming out from Disney Plus for Marvel. Like the Ms. Marvel TV show, which I cannot wait for. I think is going to do a lot of work to set up the younger characters in these new phases. It seems like such a no-brainer.
I think they're going to put it on Hulu because it's going to skew older, kind of like DCU did with Titans. Although Titans is just Teen Titans, just cursing, but you know what I mean.
I mean, in DCU, they're pulling everything off. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think they've gone on record saying that all this stuff on Disney Plus is going to have a meaningful impact on the movies. And I think something like Scarlet Witch and WandaVision. There we go. Yeah. I was like, what was that called? WandaVision. That is going to have a very large impact because they've already said that is going to connect to the events of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So they can go pretty crazy and then hopefully tie together a bunch of those weird, wild threads in the movies and then create whatever that new normal is going to be following all the snaps and blips and dustings that we saw in the first 22 movies or however many there are right now.
This is what I love about Marvel. I think that they are so cohesive in their overall vision. Like, we're going to be studying what Kevin Feige and everyone that he's overseeing have done in cinema for a really long time. They just have it together. And it's like everybody, for like no matter the conflict behind the scenes that we don't know, everyone seems to be on board. And as a viewer, I love that.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's just it creates the same sort of like audiovisual sensation that you get from reading like a comic book or a trade paperback where you're like, oh, I know this is going to continue, even if it's tangentially. It just feels like it's part of like this big event, and I can't wait to see it. Now, before we move on, I just want to read Megalo Blazemon in the chat with one of my favorite readings of how mutants are going to come in here. They say, perhaps Wanda is the key to the mutants, like a reverse No More Mutants move where she awakens the mutants, which I always like to imagine Lionel Hutz from The Simpsons being like, no, more mutants. So I hope that one comes true, Megalo Blazemon. Thank you for the input. But let's move away from Marvel to the world of animation, because last week Netflix announced that Stan Sakai's long-running Dark Horse comic series Usagi Yojimbo is going to finally be adapted into an animated series. Now, in case you've never picked up this book, Usagi Yojimbo takes place in feudal Japan and follows the adventures of an anthropomorphic rabbit samurai, and the comic has been around for quite some time. Since the 1980s, it's still going strong today because Stan Sakai is a tireless talent. He never stops making comics, and I am so happy that he hasn't. So my first question is, are any of you Usagi Yojimbo fans? And if so, what do you hope to see from this? Or if not, does this announcement make you want to check out the comics?
I'm excited. I am a fan of the comics. I have not read all of them. There's a lot of them. There's over 200. Sorry. There's over 200 issues of the comic. I mean, Usagi Yojimbo, the rabbit bodyguard, he's a Ronin rabbit. But basically it was heavily influenced by like Japanese cinema, like Lone Wolf and Cub, Godzilla, Ronin, things like that. Like it's a Kurosawa kind of feel. Anybody out there who's playing, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, you can read Usagi Yojimbo. But I think I was really excited to hear about the Netflix thing. And then I was confused because it's not going to be about Miyamoto Usagi. It's going to be about a descendant of his. And they might not be on this planet. So it's sort of, I was happy, but then I was like, wait, kind of like when I found out there's going to be like 2 Joker movies. It's like, wait, it was very confusing. And I think that's a mistake because like you said, it's been around for so long that there's all these people that don't know about Yojimbo that could really learn about it. But instead we're going to go with a descendant and a whole new group of people. And the other reason why it's strange is the character has been in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because like Sakai and oh goodness, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles creator, I'm seeing his face and not remembering his name, but both of the creators knew each other, like friends. So and both characters have been back and forth. And for people who are curious as to how they cross, back then when the comic was out, the black and white version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I'm talking about, the one where they actually killed people.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Eastman and Peter
Kevin Eastman, yes. Kevin Eastman. Eastman and Sakai are friends. They've put their characters in each other's comics. I don't understand why we wouldn't go with the original character because it's like everybody wants that story. Like Luke, like go back to the beginning. Don't start with Rey. What are you doing? Like it's very confusing.
Yeah, it's a bold choice, and I feel you with the comics. It's like whenever anyone's like, "Oh, you should just watch or read One Piece." It'll go quickly. Only 900 episodes.
Yeah.
So
talking Dan
like
Casey.
Yeah, with something like this where you have, look, I've read 60 chapters so far. I'm trying to catch up. When you have something like this where it is such a venerable franchise, you're in zero danger of outstripping the source material anytime soon. So I don't know. I think our producer B-Comp is saying Space Usagi because there was a limited series called Space Usagi. So maybe that's what they're trying to riff off of, or I don't know.
But still use him. Don't use his kid or his nephew.
It does feel very weird. Like I know the character, but I am not at all familiar with, like I've never read it. I just know it because of friends really enjoy it and I like the name. Like I think it's a fun name to say. So like why not use the story that will bring in a lot new, like so many new readers potentially?
Yeah, maybe my only guess is hopefully Stan Sakai is just like, yeah, but do it about a weird kid of his. I don't want you to touch my comics. Those are mine. Like, you can do this.
Maybe, yeah, because he's like, yeah, Netflix. I saw Death Note. You know what? Take one of his descendants. Take one of his. Don't take my kid. Take somebody else's kid.
I'll be mad forever.
I regrettably have seen Death Note as well, and
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry,
it's
honey.
a movie. Let's move on to something a little more hopeful. Which other works, comics or otherwise, do you think are overdue for an animated series? Like beyond Usagi Yojimbo. I'll give you an example of what I'm thinking of because I've wanted this probably since I was in the 4th grade, and that's Ryan Jacques' Redwall series. I want a Redwall series, but like done almost in the style of like Gendy Tartakovsky, like Samurai Jack. I wanted to see because they need not quite Watership Down level violence, even though that could be tight, but like something that skews a little more adult or at least doesn't talk down to a young audience, because the combat and like the battles and the moral things that all the characters in that series had to deal with were very intense. And I think it could do very well in today's plethora of streaming options.
And you know what? I think that Netflix's production and the way that they are welcoming creators into the fold just it seems from a viewing standpoint very positive, because I suspect that they're so busy that they don't really nitpick over things that creators want to do, because like even the She-Ra reboot is so smart that it's fantastic for kids to watch. I think it's good for adults, it's good for fans old and new, and Netflix just keeps bringing stuff in. Like they do miss sometimes, like as we've mentioned, but I think that they do a lot more right than they do wrong.
Look, all Netflix needs to do is give me a season 3 of Instant Hotel, and I will forgive anything. If you've not seen that show, it's competitive Airbnb hosting, and it's real good and real Australian.
Oh my God. Now I have to watch this.
Yes.
Everybody's like, yes.
I can't.
We have Osborne in the chat saying Chronicles of the Dark Sun would be a great comic adaptation. I have not read that one, but I'll have to look into it because I like your recommendations, Osborne. But let's move away for a minute from the world of animated Netflix projects and talk about something wildly different, which is live action Netflix projects. So last week, the streamer revealed that their top 10 most watched original films. So let's quickly run through the top 10 Netflix original films from 10 to 1. Number 10, The Perfect Date. Number 9, The Platform. Number 8, The Wrong Missy. Number 7, Triple Frontier. Number 6, The Irishman. Number 5, Murder Mystery. Number 4, Six Underground. Number 3, Spencer Confidential. Number 2, Bird Box. And number 1, Extraction. Now, that said, this list might already need to be updated because Netflix also revealed that their new Charlize Theron starring film, The Old Guard, already cracked the top 10. And if you want to know more about that movie, make sure you check out our Nerdist House interview with the entire cast. You can find it on Nerdist.com and on our YouTube channel. But that said, are there any surprises from the top 10 or top 11, I should say, that stood out to you?
I actually have a question.
Yes, please.
Who's making this list?
Oh,
because we don't have any proof of who makes this list. It's like when you see those commercials that say 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed. Who are these dentists? Who are these people? Who are these people?
All reputable dentists that I found on Yelp, and Reed Hastings personally made this list. But no, I think that's a great point because we should caveat this because I don't know what their metric is now, but previously Netflix's metric for counting a quote-unquote viewer was someone who watched something for 2 minutes. If you watched it for at least 2 minutes, guess what? You just watched this movie.
Way to go.
Yes.
This is such a disturbing trend that streamers can just put out a press release with absolutely zero kind of figures backing anything up. Like the world of box office reporting is going to get destroyed by this, and Netflix could say whatever they want. I think that they just like they looked at their own algorithm on their own account and they were like, oh yeah, Perfect Date, let's put that on the list. I don't.
That sounds.
But you know what? It does explain why Six Underground is on this list because it's only good for like the first 2 minutes, and then I'm like, what is happening? Tell me anybody else that didn't sit up watching this thing after 5 minutes of going, are we still in this car? What happened? How are we here? Where are we?
Now,
somewhere Ryan Reynolds just started crying. He doesn't know why.
Exactly.
Karma,
out of one eye.
I know you have an interesting theory about Michael Bay and his style of filmmaking, and I'd love if you could share your insights about Michael Bay with us, if you'd be willing to do so.
They heard me yelling about this earlier. I don't understand. So first of all, the 2 minutes thing does make sense when you're looking at a movie like Six Underground, and it does make sense when it comes to Michael Bay, because Michael Bay started his career after being an intern with Spielberg. I know that part, but he did music videos and he did commercials. These are things that you got to make look good and sexy within like for 1 minute at a time, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, right? And he has the same 4 shots he does over and over and over again. There's like a military tarmac with planes and people walking with smoke. There's a low angle shot of like a brunette girl with big boobs crying. And there's a black man looking at the sky. And there's a car chase. That's it. As long as he gets those 4 things in the first 2 minutes, it's just like shooting an Audi commercial. There's literally nothing else he has to do. And you can change that. It doesn't have to be a car. It can be an Autobot. Doesn't matter. It's the same formula over and over again. And I think that's why he's figured out what the algorithm is, and he's just cheating the algorithm. He's Hydra. That's all he is.
And now Optimus Prime.
Brain. Incredible.
I just have such a hard time looking at this list and not thinking that every single person in America is just watching the episode of The Great British Bake Off where Nadia makes the cake with the cans floating over and over. Like that should be the number one thing on this
list. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
See, they just need to feed into that. Put that episode right after Six Underground ends.
You liked this. You might like this.
Yeah. But Preeti, was there anything that stood out to you on this list or just like kind of took you by surprise?
Not really. I mean, especially when you think about the 2 minutes thing. Like, I could watch Chris Hemsworth do anything for 2 minutes, like literally almost anything. So really, really not surprising. But I guess, you know, it's a nice mix of action and comfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, I think it's a big list of just trying to take the edge off reality.
Yeah.
Carly, because Spencer Confidential's on this list.
Yeah.
The farthest thing from reality.
Oh my God. I think it's because, and this is just personal, because when I was little, and maybe this is because it's nostalgic for me, when I was really little, my dad used to watch Spencer for Hire with me, the reruns, and we loved the show. And then when Avery Brooks, who played Hawk, became captain on Deep Space Nine, it was like Hawk is in charge of a spaceship. This was my household. So like, how are you gonna put Marky Mark up against M'Baku? Like, it doesn't make sense. And then he's trying to teach M'Baku how to fight. Also doesn't make sense. Like, what
Wish
is that
fulfillment?
Right. And that one, I swear to God, it took me long. I tried to give it longer than 2 minutes. I did. I had to skim though. I couldn't do it. Everything had an 80s soundtrack to go with it. It was shot like 21 Jump Street, which maybe is because Peter Berg, the director, was in 21 Jump Street, but the whole thing was a mess. I'm like, how is this movie getting made? And then I'm like, all right, I get it. Netflix had to, fill something out, but then it makes the top 10. That's how I know it's rigged. One of those dentists picked that movie.
That's the fifth dentist's favorite movie.
That's
he
what I'm
puts it on
saying.
all the screens in his waiting room, and that's why the numbers are juiced up. Look, the dentist conspiracy explains all of this.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to something more toothsome, the world of comic book movies. Let's talk about everyone's favorite caped crusader, Batman. So everyone and their Martha is thirsty for clues about Matt Reeves' The Batman movie, but we may actually have an answer now thanks to Colin Farrell. Because in addition to playing the Penguin in The Batman, Farrell was spotted recently wearing a mask, buying a Batman trade paperback from a local Barnes & Noble. And over on Nerdist.com, our intrepid reporter Rosie Knight figured out exactly what he bought and what it could tell us about the film. So Farrell bought the definitive collection of Francis Manapul and Brian Bucellato's New 52 Detective Comics run. And there are a lot of parallels in those comics with what we've seen and heard so far about the Batman. Motorcycle chases, the Penguin, Gotham crime syndicates, and so much more. You can read about it on Nerdist. But whether this is for research or if Colin Farrell just really loves Batman, wants something new to read, that remains to be seen. But it does raise some interesting questions. Because reportedly, the Batman is going to be an original story that will draw inspiration from other Batman stories. So if so, what stories or arcs would you like to see be influential in Matt Reeves' vision? And also, why? Preeti, let's start with you.
First of all, can I just shout out Colin Farrell for going to a Barnes & Noble? Like, thank you, sir.
He's just like us.
Why not? You can go into a bookstore and buy your book safely with a mask on. I really appreciate that. It's not local as good as Chris Pine, but still, it's not Amazon.
Yeah. Maybe Colin Farrell lives at the Grove.
Ooh, that would explain why I always go there and don't know why.
And why he always
drives. You have a sense.
I have a Farrell sense.
I did not mean to derail this trolley. You were saying, Preeti.
No, it's fine. I'm happy to talk about Colin Farrell's whereabouts at any given time. I will say, when he was cast as the Penguin, I was like, if they make the Penguin hot, I swear to God, I don't think I'm here for it. But reading, I read Rosie's piece, and I'm not a huge DC person. Like, my Batman knowledge is limited to some animated movies and things. But everything I've heard about the movie makes me more excited to see it. Like, that Robert Pattinson GQ profile that came out a couple months ago is maybe the best thing I've read in 6 months.
Do you hope to see Robert Pattinson making his weird microwave pasta thing in the movie?
Absolutely. I want Bruce Wayne not understanding how microwaves work. And
it's Alfred's day off. Oh my god.
Colin Farrell as the Penguin being very frustrated with him.
Bruce Wayne trying to figure out how much groceries cost. Oh my goodness. Karma, what do you hope to see from this? Are there any comics that you hope this film draws inspiration from, or any expansions on Bat lore that you'd like to see?
first of all, and I know they're not going to do this, but I still don't understand why we don't have a live action Terry McGinnis story yet, Batman Beyond. I don't understand, but I know that's not this. I do think that Batman Venom, they could take a portion of that. That was part of the Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. And I believe it started with number 16. Don't drag me in the comments if I'm wrong, but in the teens. It's the one where he fails to save a little girl's life and decides to take this sort of performing enhancing drug that her father makes, and it sends him on a bender. And he gets addicted and he has to lock himself in the bat cave so he won't like throw weapons at people, and he gets, so it'll be really interesting to do a whole, because we could tell from the lighthouse that Pattinson could do the trippy thing. So maybe one of the little portions of this is that, he fails at something and then he decides to cheat. It doesn't work for him. That could get thrown in there. And this is not Venom, obviously Marvel Venom. This is another actual drug. There was another series, Batman, Sword of Azrael, another Dennis O'Neil run, and they're after an assassin named Azrael, and who's basically part of a whole assassin crew. I know it sounds very Ra's al Ghul. It's similar, but a little bit different. And it's very James Bond. It's very all over Europe, and I think it could be very cinematic. So they could take pieces of those maybe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just don't want to see those pearls. I'm telling you right now, if I see those pearls, I will hurt someone. I am so tired of those damn pearls.
You don't want a slow-mo of the pearls falling to the ground?
When I saw them in Joker, I threw my popcorn. Very sorry to the man who was sitting in front of me. I'm done. I'm done. That's like Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. If I see this man one more time.
Unless he's played by Timothy Olyphant, which is my personal goal for that to happen.
No, I want Timothy Olyphant to play Old Man Batman in Batman Beyond the live action movie.
He can do both.
I also think Timothy Olyphant would look great in pearls. Let's not limit our scope here. He can play all three of these roles and more.
Olyphant all the time.
Yeah.
Love it.
I hope they have like a little fake out where someone drops a pearl necklace and they just pick it up like, oh man, you dropped this.
Drop this.
Yeah. Like
or somebody's pearl necklace breaks while they're eating spaghetti and they got to pick it up and it's all red.
Yeah. Oh, what a mess. Martha Mia, indeed. Gray, I want to talk to you about Matt Reeves, especially as a filmmaker, because he's someone that blew me away with what he did with the Planet of the Apes franchise, which is not a sentence I ever expected to say in my life. But here we are. So what do you think that his style of filmmaking is going to lend to a character like the Batman?
I think that his partnership with Fox to make those movies just must have been so supportive. And I hope that that's what he's running into now, because he spent so much time making those films timely and meaningful. I never imagined that I would sob in a Planet of the Apes movie. And I really agree with what has been said here, that we cannot see the same thing over again, which is why I was really excited Matt Reeves was involved, because Logan was mentioned earlier, and that's where we're at with superhero movies. We need to start making them unusual, a little bit off the beaten path, not an origin story. And I think Matt Reeves is exactly the guy to do that. The fact that he chose Robert Pattinson, or that, Robert Pattinson is in his film, I think is a really, really good sign, because if they insist on continuing to make the same movies about the same character, they're gonna have to find new storylines, and Matt Reeves has really proven himself to be that dude.
Yeah, and that actually is a perfect segue to my next question of like, you hit the nail on the head. We've seen this character so many times before. How do you keep it fresh? We've seen different aspects of Batman on screen over the years as crime fighter, superhero, ninja. And while we've heard there's going to be a strong detective angle to this movie, is there another genre you'd like to see down the line? Horror, noir, comedy, anything like that? Gray, let's start with you.
Oh God, I would love like a true noir Batman, like combined with even any one of these storylines that y'all have talked about. I think that to really bring up that gritty crime fighting stuff would be perfect for the character, because we all know like Batman is like the emo one.
He's a sad boy. I want to see sad TikTok teen Batman. Just fighting some crime, trying to figure out his life. How do I stop being an e-boy and start being an e-bat? Uh, Karma, what genre would you like to see down the line? You mentioned Batman Beyond, which would be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that, and I don't know why this movie hasn't been made yet. Like, I think maybe it has something to do with the fact that the animated series came before the comics, but I really think it would be an amazing live action show. I know Jensen Ackles from Supernatural wants it bad, but I don't know whether or not he can do it anymore. And I honestly think maybe Taron Egerton could be interesting because we know he can do it physically. Right. See? And then Colin Edgerton, not related, also not with a G, could be older bats. Unless, I don't know. There's so many people who could play older bats. I just think that getting Terry right, I think I want that to happen. I'm sorry. Just Supernatural fans.
Look, I will tell them that I will communicate your apology to them. They have 100,000 seasons of their show, so they don't have much to be mad about. It's been on for exactly 100 years. I will say this. Michael Keaton is reportedly going to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne for, I believe it was the Flash movie. That was a report that came out recently. So if he was back in the fold, would you want to see him as older Bruce Wayne?
I would like to see it, but then see, every time they give a Flash update, it's like a New Mutants update. I have trust issues. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Don't tease me with that because we won't have it.
They're still playing like director musical chairs over there, so it's one where I will believe it when I see it. Because
it's like they drop things on Twitter just to see if the crowd will like them. Let's try this one. Let's see what they say.
It's just an elaborate prank. It's like an elaborate prank. We'll find out years from now there never was a Flash movie. There never was a Flash character. He was all just building up to this moment.
Or there was, and he went back in time and screwed it up, and that's why we don't remember.
God damn it, Barry. Stop messing with the timeline. Preeti, what about you? Is there another genre of Bat movie you'd like to see?
So something I've been very, very into recently is the Harley Quinn cartoon on DCU, which I think is everyone should be watching. I want a season 3 so badly. So like go watch it so that we can get a season 3. But I like the idea of just kind of really off the wall, bizarre, irreverent Batman. Like just do something in the complete opposite direction of Nolan, like who kind of, I think, defined the modern era of what these DC films could be through his work in the Batman trilogy, and just do something unexpected. I think it could be really exciting because, like you said, we're a decade, 2 decades into this stuff now. Like, I want something surprising.
More shark repellent.
Yeah.
No, shark attraction spray. Serve these beautiful animals. Oh my goodness. Well, hey, 2020 has been proof that literally anything can happen. So who knows what's going to get announced next year?
Now, 2020 has been like, I think 2020 is a broken Jumanji game and the players are drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, someone threw out the rule book and now we don't know how to stop playing this game. I think I read on the box it involves wearing a mask, washing your hands, and not being selfish, but who can say?
But wait,
those rules are too hard.
Exactly, but then the game changes because it's broken. So you have killer bees or killer wasps, and then you don't. Then you have locusts, and then you don't. Then you have tidal waves, but maybe not.
Yeah, just another fun-filled day playing Apocalypse Bingo. But let's play an actual game for a moment. We got the news out of the way. Let's do some Nerdist News trivia, because here at Nerdist News Talks Back, we like to connect our trivia to the barest of threads. So with this week marking the anniversary of the release of both The Dark Knight Rises and Captain America: The First Avenger, we decided to do something a little bit different. So for each answer, you're going to have to choose Captain America or Batman. So let's don our thinking capes and play Captain America versus Batman Trivia Edition. All right, does everyone have a pen, pencil, or crayon, something to that effect? Something you can write on? Great. All right, question number 1. In the 1970s, this hero changed his name to Nomad and donned his iconic black suit. In the 1970s, this hero changed his name to Nomad and donned his iconic black suit. All right, what do we got, folks? Let's see those answers. Captain America. All right, y'all got it right. Great work. It's a point for everyone. Okay, question number 2. He was originally drawn to be wearing red tights. This hero was originally drawn as wearing red tights. The answer may surprise you. All right.
Oh, now I'm rethinking my answer. Ah!
You got a 50-50 shot. But one is correct. All right, let's see it. That is correct. It was Batman. He was also first depicted wearing wings instead of the slick back cape that we know for him for today. Wow, my words have failed me.
No.
Much like Batman has failed Gotham City.
That's because they drew him like Falcon. That's why.
Yes. They're like, no, we got to save this outfit. Put on that cape. All right. Question number 3. They debuted in their first film in 1943. This hero debuted in their first film in 1943. Cap, Bats, who can say? Gray, your facial expressions are nourishment. They are manna from heaven right now.
I am really thinking about this.
Please, as we all should. All right, let's see those answers. We got them? The answer, unfortunately, Gray, is Batman.
Darn it, I thought there was like a World War II thing going on.
Yes. Well,
that did happen, just not now.
Yes.
It's not that.
Captain America film was in 1944, so you were close. Just under the wire. All right. Question number 4. They once dressed up undercover as a grandma. This superhero once went undercover as a grandma. I can picture both, and it's frankly delightful.
Because pearls.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see it. Let's see those answers. That is correct. All got it correct. Captain America went undercover as a granny. I mean, he is a perpetual grandpa himself, so it's kind of fitting.
Yes.
All right. Question number 5. He was depicted on a comic cover throwing tennis balls at Hitler. He was depicted on a comic book cover throwing tennis balls at Hitler. Notoriously Hitler's one weakness.
That and bullets.
Yes. That's why they got Andy Roddick to swat it at him. I would pay to watch that movie. All right, let's see these answers.
I don't know this one.
All right. Well, apparently you do, because the answer is in fact Batman. Captain America.
I just know Captain better than
I
yes, he punched
both.
him.
I know, but I was like, why not both?
Why not?
I mean,
I knew Cap punched him, and I couldn't think of him ever throwing tennis balls, so I just went with the.
I was like, maybe that was the issue before he punched him in the face.
Yeah, he's like, tennis balls prove ineffective. I have to get closer.
Let's try my fist.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to this one. Question number 6. He once turned into a werewolf. Which of these heroes once turned into a werewolf?
Ooh.
Whoa. Which lycanthrope was a lycanthrope?
Oh.
That's enough to make me go Team Jacob.
I want it to be.
Well, we'll see, depending on this answer.
I mean, either is.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's see those answers, folks.
I want it to be both.
I cannot count that for you. Choose one. And that you chose correctly, because the answer is Captain America.
Oh, wow.
Stereotypically, he's once turned into a vampire.
Oh, okay.
They typecast him a little bit, but Cap went full on werewolf. All right, number 7. This is an opinion question. So, who would win in a fight, and in 1 or 2 sentences, why? I'll start. You don't have to write it down. I'll give you
I was like, how much?
He's like,
space
I
do
gotta
have
write a
left?
lot.
Yeah, I want to like hold it up and write in like 72-point font.
Exactly.
All
No,
right.
clearly it's Captain America.
Right, 100% Cap.
Okay, but why? Give me 1 or 2 sentences.
I'll just give you 3 words: super soldier serum.
Yeah, and another, just cut off his belt.
His bat slacks.
Yeah, the thing is that anytime Batman goes up against somebody like a super soldier, he's, at a huge physical disadvantage. However, the one thing that consistently makes Batman interesting is that he is just a rich guy with sociopathic tendencies. So I'm kind of tempted to say Batman because he knows that he would be the underdog, and that's always a very dangerous position for anyone else against him.
Yeah, I mean, look, you raise a good point. He did have those contingency plans for all of his peers, which, first of all, rude. Second of all, good planning, I guess. But you know what? I'm gonna be magnanimous. I'm gonna give everyone a point because super soldier serum, great argument. Cut off his belt, which, first of all, yeah, what's he gonna do now? Where's your captain repellent? But Gray, you raise a good point. He is never to be underestimated, and he's a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, back in the 90s, the Marvel DC crossover comics, they actually did fight, and fans voted that Batman would ultimately become the victor because that's what happens when you have fans vote. But look, it could.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
That's how we get Netflix top 10 lists. It's the same thinking. It's the same thing.
Cap,
It's all dentists.
Cap forgot his belt month, so that's why it went that way. There's a lore reason for it. All right, moving on to number 8. So 12 other people have taken on the mantle of this character in the comics over the years. 12 other people have taken on the mantle of this character in the comics.
Oh.
All right, let me see those answers, folks. I'm sorry, Preeti. The answer is Captain America. Batman had 15 other people.
Oh.
So close. It's a close one all around. Let's see if we can narrow this gap on the next question. Number 9, he can learn how to wield a weapon in mere seconds. He can learn how to wield a weapon in mere seconds. I feel like this is going to be a controversial one in the comments, being like, well, this character could do this easily if you simply look at panel 69B from issue. All right, let's see those answers. That is correct, Captain America. He also drank the super weapon serum, apparently. So,
well, I mean, he's got like a almost an eidetic memory, so all he's got to do is mess with things a couple times, and he's got it.
Yeah, just practice makes perfect. He's a fast learner, that Cap. This one, I love this question. This is going to be a fun one. Number 10, they were almost killed by Dr. Doom in their trophy room. They were almost killed by Dr. Doom in their trophy room.
Feels like a trick question.
Or is it?
Damn.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem with Doom. He was
Right.
in so many things.
The only appropriate response to Dr. Doom.
All right.
I wish that I had a more extensive interior design knowledge of these characters about the trophy rooms.
But that's what's so strange, because Batman would have a trophy room. Cap
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Right?
But we think of Doom as a Marvel.
I'm committing. I just watched My Cousin Vinny. I'm committing to the trick question. I'm doing it.
You said I'm committing.
Let me see it. Speak for the Utes.
Wait, I'm coming.
You are all correct. It was Batman, and it was a different Dr. Doom than the one from Marvel.
That's what I was thinking, because Cap would never have a trophy room.
No.
He's
Right.
not
Of course
that.
not.
He's not that self-righteous.
He would have like a framed picture of like his like childhood baseball team on the mantle, but like
or he'd have Bucky at home cooking. That's all he'd have.
And by the way, Dan, that was a little bit showy for Cap. Okay, so just like dial it down a little bit.
He'd have a pennant.
It's a very modest apartment, as we saw in Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Okay, so I've had my supercomputer tabulate all the numbers and winners, and your winner of the Cat versus Batman Trivia Showdown, Karma, you are the winner. Congratulations!
Oh my God.
You did
Thank
it.
you.
Your trophy is in the mail, provided that Dr. Doom does not sabotage the USPS. All right, so thank you all for playing. Now it's time for your 30-second soapbox. This is your time to get whatever's on your chest off your chest. Talk about whatever you want. Truly, Karma, you won, so you're up first. What have you got for us?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. Thank you for inviting me. And I also think stuff like this is kind of what we need right now, because things are crazy outside. We're not saying that they're not, they are, but be kind to yourself, be kind to your neighbor. Watch more live streams like mine, the Blur Girl Live. It's on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch on Operating Network. Tomorrow I'm talking to Matthew Cherry, who's the Oscar winner for a little movie called Hair Love. And next week I'm talking to Nana Reeves, who actually wrote an episode of actually worked with Jordan Peele, on Monkey Paw Productions, as well as some stuff with Twilight Zone. I got Peter Ramsey coming up. There's a bunch of really fun things that are happening, and it's live, so we get to act dumb too. So that's all I got.
Fantastic. That is a stacked guest list. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, you too. That's amazing. Awesome. All right, Preeti, it's your turn. What do you have for us on the soapbox?
So as you said earlier at the top of the show, I have 2 books coming out next month. One of which is Avengers Assembly #1,
Whoa.
Orientation. My girl Kamala, front and center there. That comes out August 4th. And then Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Stories of Light and Dark, which is an anthology for the Clone Wars, which comes out August 25th. I wrote Anakin, my favorite sad, angsty boy. Oh,
hate manses.
I love a hate manse. You know I love a hate manse. I have a hate manse with Anakin. That is out August 25th. And then I have a picture book called A Jedi You Will Be, which is Yoda training Luke, and that's out in October. And all of those things you can find on my website, preetichibber.com, as well as a few San Diego Comic-Con panels I'll be on this weekend.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to have to clear some space on my bookshelf and dedicate that space there. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Gray, last but not least, the soapbox is yours.
Well, I have been surprised at the things that have been making me really happy lately. It's always something, it tends to be something that's a little bit more, it's like less movies and such, and it's more personal connection. And so one of the things I just wanted to encourage everybody to do is to know that you're not alone. And the more that you can reach out to everyone else, the better off you're going to be. I think straining your brain in a totally different way has really been helping me. Even watching movies like Palm Springs or the Keegan-Michael Key season of Brain Games, I think is right. It's like kind of loosening me up a little bit and making me remember that things aren't as bad as they seem and we're going to be okay. So also, by the way, we're at the point of all of this where I have set an alarm to just tell myself I'm doing better than I think. So with everything that all you guys have going on, I just want to congratulate you all and to tell you watching out there, you are doing much better than you think, and good job.
That's so pure and wholesome, and honestly what I needed today. Thank you so much, Gray. That's lovely. Everyone else out there, also drink some water if you haven't yet. If you're able to, go for a walk. That's been like truly a unexpected godsend during this period for me. Just getting outside what feels like the room that you're stuck in, even for a little bit, just spikes those endorphins. The Sims had it right. Plants make your room meter go up in real life. So yeah, thank you all so much for joining me today. Gray, Preeti, Karma, I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone at home for watching. We couldn't do this without you. That's been today's episode of Nerdist News Talks Back. Make sure you check out tomorrow's episode of Nerdist News, because we're going to break down how Wonder Woman 1984 is actually going to retcon a little bit of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And with that, we're going to see you guys next Monday back here for a brand new episode of Nerdist News Talks Back at 2 p.m. Pacific, live on Nerdist and Geek and Sundry's YouTube channels, as well as Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel. So until then, stay safe, be well, wear a mask, have a great day, and see you next time. Bye-bye.